Hey guys, Brian Savage here with you. We're going to call today Sound Demo Day. Now I'll get back up here and show you for Mr. Epiphone Les Paul Ultra 3. And I never said, I don't believe I said this guitar's name. This guitar's name is Dexter because it's a killer. That's this guitar's name. It's very masculine in its, to me, in its playing, its voice, and its feel. So I gave it a man's name. I guess Dexter's, I guess a male's name, I should say. But excuse me, I digress. Now, what I got going on for you today is I have from the Shadow Nanomag pickup. I have that running into my solid state PV-EFX 212. This has been a workhorse amp for me for a long time. It's solid states, lots of power. It's got blue marvels in it, speakers, and it does a whole lot of stuff that I like, and that's the solid state stuff that it does. And that means take crazy modulation effects and all that kind of stuff and be able to layer that stuff up and it just take it. The downfall to this amp, the things that I don't like about it is the fact that it's not tube, and whenever you push it and you make it loud, it does like most solid states, even though it is the trans tube. It gets too fizzy in its sound for me. I love this amp. It gets plenty loud enough without getting fizzy to be able to do most gigs, most kind of bar gigs, if you will. Not huge clubs, but it's loud. It will be very loud if you want it to be. But I got it running, again, I'm just in the clean channel. And that is off the Nanomag. Now, I cannot tell you my settings back here as far as the amount of gain, bass, and treble that I have. I just kind of dialed it into ear. And that's what you have to do. Again, check off, if you're listening Epiphone, change that if you continue with this model. Give us some kind of indicator on the back of these knobs. And if you haven't seen the prior videos that show, there is no indicator on these knobs to let you know how loud, how much treble, how much bass, how little you have. So I won't be able to give you that. Now, on the amp itself, I've got the volume set. It's a 0 to 10, and I've got it set on about 3 on its vintage. Bass on 7, mids on 4, and treble on 6. So, a lot of chorus, a lot of reverb, touch of some echo delay in there, and again, this, I always keep it clean when I do my setup this way. Keeps it, it's mainly for all that backup shimmery that goes behind the tone. To actually make my tone, I use this amp, and this is what I have hooked up to the humbuckers. The Randall RD20. Now, I absolutely cannot tell you enough great things about this amp. It is such a powerful amp for 20 watts and just a 112. I have plugged this into a 4x12 cabinet. I have a Celestion loaded 4x12 cabinet, and it sounded phenomenal. I mean, so powerful, and I can't say enough great things about this amp. Again, if you didn't know, I actually won this amp. So, paying off watching YouTube videos, and that was from the Tone King. And man, I can't mention you guys and Randall for sponsoring it for 30 pedals in 30 days. Is a event that the Tone King puts on. Check out his channel, like, subscribe. Can't mention you enough, can't give you enough love for giving me this love. Give you guys one of those bad boys right there. It's what he likes to do. So, back at you again. But anyway, I digress on that. And this, again, this doesn't have any effects in it. And I don't really like running effects into tube. If you do, you pretty much have to run them in the loop and da-da-da-da-da and this and that. Well, you don't have to run them in the loop, but it depends on the effects. But this is a great sounding amp standalone, except for the fact that it doesn't have any kind of reverb. It doesn't have anything like that built into it. This is my gain tone amp, let's say. This does the clean job. And this I put on clean sometimes too, because together they make a... That's both on clean, and that's a real pretty sound. That's just the Randall. That's just the Peavey. And that's both of them together. Now, what I typically do though is I typically use the Randall on its overdrive setting. You know, I will use the clean and leave it cleaned up if I'm doing some kind of clean shimmery thing, but most of the time this is what I go for. This is, give you this tone. It's the Randall on its own, on its gain setting, or overdrive setting I should say, overdrive channel. So it sounds good by itself. Great tone. That's my tone maker. Really is right there. But play that same riff, and now I'm going to add in the clean Peavey with the effects on top of it. And check this out. Big tonal difference. To me, it really, really wakes it up. And actually, I have it mixed a little. I got a little too much of that in there, and not quite enough of this in there. Let's check this out. Let's see here. I am cold today. Try them both on the gain setting. Ooh, that's kind of epic. I like that. I butchered that all up. Let's try the Randall on clean and the Peavey on the story. I hope that this starts a whole bunch of controversy, and I hope that this statement absolutely causes everyone to go crazy and make a video of their own to show me how I am wrong, because I love it, okay? But I believe that there is a place for tube in my heart, and there's a place for transistors in my heart. I believe that both of them can do the same thing, but one does one thing better and one does another better. In my humble opinion, solid state handles the modulation effects, the reverbs, the crazy echoes. I mean, I can do the crazy, just really just lay it. If I did that through this, even if I put it through the effects loop, the crazy modulation stuff, even, okay, I'll turn the reverb, let's turn the delay on a pretty modest echo, so that'll actually put it with a modulation echo, and let's go to, I don't know, let's do a rotary speaker, like a... And now let me just crank the crap out of the reverb in with a rotary. Now, I'm not saying that's a pretty sound. What I am saying, though, is if I tried the same thing, even going through the effects loop of a tube amp, to me it causes certain tonal variations that I personally don't like. I like the sound of tubes raw. I like a little bit of reverb if possible. Again, this doesn't have anything built into it, and that's okay. I have spring reverb tanks that I've built with a little tube driver that I can plug into it if I'm in a studio setting or here at the house. I have stomp boxes. I have multi-effects pedals. Most of you guys and gals out here that are into this kind of stuff are going to have that kind of stuff. Again, there's a million different rules of thumb on it, but me personally, I believe with a tube guitar amp, you put wah, overdrive, compression, distortion, fuzz, those type effects in the front. So guitar into those effects and out of those effects into the amp. And you run any kind of modulation effects, the choruses, reverbs, flangers, phasers, delays, those type of things to run into the effects loop. Now, the reason why is due to how an effects loop is worked and wired in between pre and post amp, and how the input signal goes from the front of the amp into preamp, and the separation between pre and post amp in the effects loop helps, for lack of better terms, buffer modulated effects versus putting in the front so that it's always pushed by the preamp. You can do it, and there's people that do it, and I guess there's no solid rule of thumb. For me, I find the best results if I put modulation effects in the loop and then drive effects, if you will, in wah, compression, and drives in the front. Now, what do I prefer to do? I prefer to do something like this, and that is run a dual amp system, run a solid state amp, and run all those shimmery. I like, I'm a product of the 80s and 90s. I like to have, but I like country and I like rock and roll and I like the old stuff and the new stuff and all that good stuff too. But that's about my clean tone, which is almost... That is, I like that clean tone. Let's see here. That's the clean tone of just the random. And I got to admit that is a beautifully rich tone. Bring them both in with the effects. That's what I like clean, and that lets me do even the stuff. So anyway, guys, I think I'm going to call it quits there and do a whole bunch playing. So I hope you liked, I hope you enjoyed. Epiphone, Les Paul, Ultra 3, sound demo, and a little bit into some of the amps I like to use here at the house. And the way I kind of like to set my stuff up. Hope it causes a bunch of controversy. Like, subscribe, comment, share the music, share the love. Have a good one. Bye.